Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, Bougie Vintage, and today's video is a chit chat. Get ready with me. I'm gonna do my very basic everyday makeup look while I chit chat to you a little bit about, finding myself again after going through a traumatic breakup and just taking things easy. It's no secret that when you break up with someone, especially if you've been with them for a long time, there's like a grief that happens. Even if it was a toxic relationship, you still go through this weird bit of grief. And worse if the person was narcissistic that you broke up with. You're grieving a lot of different things. You grieve the relationship because you begin to wonder and ponder, it was real, which parts of it were real, if any. You grieve the fact that life is not turning out the way that you anticipated it to. You grieve, obviously, if you have children, you grieve for them. You grieve just like the realization of picturing life one way, especially for your children, and it going a completely different way. You also grieve the fact that you, in a lot of situations, went against your better judgment to accommodate. So perhaps you shouldn't have done that. And so a lot of stuff happens while you're going through the initial breakup, and a lot of that stuff is actually starting before you actually leave. For me, that was the case. Just to add to my glowy skin, I'm going to be taking my Mist and Fix in Pink Light. I don't know if they still sell this, but sorry, not Mix and Fix. What did I just say? I'm a Fix Plus girl. And I just remembered this is after Christmas, so I can use my new makeup, but I left it in the other room, so maybe I will skip out on that for today because I don't want to go out there and nobody see me and it's going to be drama. We've had enough drama for 2022. We don't need any more. So you go through this whole grieving process, accepting that life is just not going to turn out how you think it should or thought it should, and that God has a different plan for you. A lot of the time we're in denial at first. Like I for sure was in denial. That's why I fought so hard to keep my marriage together, because I didn't understand what I was going through at the time. So I fought really, really hard to keep it together, and then that fight slowly dissolved and began turning into more of an acceptance of things are not going to change, things are getting worse. I cannot sit and act delusional for the rest of my life, so I'm gonna have to make a decision. Those parts of the grief are really hard, but they pass. And so of course, after you realize I'm probably gonna be divorced. I'm probably gonna have to switch up the way things are done because I'm gonna be a single mom, yada, yada, yada. And I'm using my Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop foundation because, like I said, this is an everyday look. You then start to kind of restructure in your mind how you're gonna do X, Y, and Z. That could come with budgeting, that could come with co-parenting, just however you see it. And you don't necessarily say anything at first because you realize you said enough. You don't need to say anything else. You need to just make your plan and move forward with your plan. However, I was struggling to do that. So I wasn't able to just make a plan and simply get my ducks in a row and leave. I was not afforded that opportunity because things had gotten really, really bad. And so that's a story time in itself. So I'm not going to say too much where that's concerned, but I definitely was trying to make a plan to move forward with my life and my children, of course, without my ex, because I had no choice. Realistically, if I'm being honest, it added to the grief that I was already feeling, because it was just an overwhelming set of circumstances and emotions that I was going through all at once. And it was off the heels of my sister, the Tasmanian devil situation. And it was just God, can I get a break? Can I get a break, please? I've been going through stuff pretty much since I had met that man. I had been going through a lot of crap. And it's not until I come out of the relationship that I realized, well, damn, he brought a lot of like grief to my life. A lot. I didn't see it that way at first. But when I sat back and I thought about all the things I've lost, and then, you know, all the things that my kids weren't afforded or aren't afforded because of the situation, whew, girl, I was grieving all over again. While I was in my marriage, I definitely fell into a sort of depression, lost myself in the process. I mean, thank God I didn't gain a bunch of weight and look like a damn hippopotamus. But that's often what happens to a lot of people. I didn't lose a lot of weight either, but I was able to maintain what I could, because that would be a whole other depression in itself, especially because I already have body dysmorphia, other self-image issues, some that didn't exist prior to being with my ex, and others that did exist prior to being with my ex, you know, because the relationship that I was in was one that was pretty much made to damage my self-esteem and bring me to a low place. And while I was in the relationship, I didn't really even realize that I was falling into that, you know, low self-esteem category. And even now, I don't really think that I fully went there, but I definitely had some days where I wasn't feeling the greatest about myself, whether it was my mental health or physical appearance or just whatever, because there was so much rejection involved in the relationship. And so some days I would look at myself and be like, I know I'm that girl. So why do I feel so crazy about feeling like I'm that girl? I had vocalized it to my ex as well. While we were together, I would be like, I've had quite a few relationships and none of them have ever, one, treated me the way that you treat me, but also nobody's ever rejected me while being in a relationship. So it was a strange thing, because I'm like, men are usually throwing themselves at me. This is offensive, okay? Like, I was highly offended a lot of the relationship, because I'm like, you see me, I see me. Okay, I see me. So I don't know what or who you think you're rejecting, but it's not given that. You got to be out your mother loving mind, because not even on like a conceited tip, because mother is very humble, okay? Very humble. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm ugly. It's never going to give that. Baby, it's never going to give that. Makeup, no makeup. I'm not going to sit and pretend for people to feel better about themselves that I'm ugly, okay? I mean, my hairline is intact. No shade. She's cute when she wakes up in the morning. So it was a very confusing relationship to be in. I think if I hadn't had past experiences with men, and this was like my first relationship, I think it would have damaged me far beyond belief, because I would only believe pretty much what this person was saying to me or what they would be treating me like. That's all I would have to go off of. But because I've had experiences with other men prior to my ex, the tactics didn't necessarily work on me, though they did, you know, sometimes they would creep in and try to snatch my confidence away. I think more towards like the tail end of the relationship, it was a factor and a real issue for me, because it just got too much and I didn't understand what the rejection was. And I'm thinking, okay, like, you know, after having kids, a lot does change, but it should be a two-person effort that kind of makes it work, right? So it's not like after I had kids, I blew up and became, like I said, a freaking hippopotamus. And sometimes that happens, but there's so much going on with a woman's body after she has kids. And everybody knows the risks, okay? So if you didn't know the risks and you thought you were just gonna have some skinny mini for the rest of your life, that's just not really what it is, you know, for some men, okay? But that didn't really make sense to me, because I had been with this person when they were like 300 pounds. So I might have suggested strawberries at that time. But like, I didn't attack them. And it's so funny because I remember at that time too, when my ex was at his biggest weight after being shot, because when he got shot, he lost a lot of weight, like a lot. He was super skinny. And then once he, was not active anymore, like not very active, wasn't really very active anyway. Slowed down quite a bit. You're gonna slow down if you have a bullet hole in your leg. And he gained a gang of weight. I didn't break up with him for it. But I tried to get him to go running with me, but he refused. But that was so long ago. That was like in 2013. 2014. And so I remember at that time, he had said to me that he wouldn't care if I was 300 pounds, that he would still love me. And I thought to myself, no, the frick you wouldn't. No, you freaking wouldn't. I'm sorry. Men do not think that way. If you get with somebody and they're not pleasantly plump when you get with them, and then all of a sudden they are extremely, morbidly obese, it's not that you don't love them anymore. But I can understand if you try to get them to lose weight with you, go on a diet with you, just motivate each other, right? To stay healthy. It's no shade. Like if I get a man that's in the gym, I'm gonna be in the gym with the man, okay? But if he's not in the gym, girl, and we just want to sit on the couch all day, that's what we gonna do, okay? It's no shade. It really is not. But I would love a gym man, cause baby, get this body right, okay? After the lipo. After the lipo, I'm gonna maintain it in the gym, girl. But before that, mother is lazy, okay? So here's my thing though. Because I have, weight issues. I've had bulimia. I have body dysmorphia. Like, I have issues with my weight. I do. So because I have those issues with my weight, I always very conscious of it. And I won't let it get past a certain point. The closest I've been to 200 pounds was during pregnancy. So it doesn't count. It doesn't count. And after I drop the babies, the weight goes down. And I try to stay within a certain zone. My goal weight is 130. Almost there, not there yet. But like, that's my goal weight. So everybody's goal weight is different. And I'm also very short. Like, I'm 5'2.5". There's no reason for me to be more than like 125 pounds. I'm not even joking. Those things are always in the back of my mind when I'm like eating or like, because I realized too, as I got to adulthood, that I do not have a healthy relationship with food. I've talked about this a lot on my channel. And I really don't care what anybody says. I don't think anybody's true desire is to be fat. We're not gonna sit and pretend like that's, people wake up every day and we're like, I'm so happy to be fat. Like, it's not gonna happen. Like this is too much fat for me. It really is. I need some, guns out, girl. Like, I wish I was more toned, but like not like bodybuilder tone, because I also think that that's, but none of this is neither here nor there. I'm just talking about like getting back to me, okay? And what I knew to be true about myself. So despite the fact that I obviously had body dysmorphia issues prior to getting with my ex, they weren't as intense. They weren't as like prevalent. Of course, outside of high school, right? Like high school is when I was bulimic. I haven't been bulimic since then. I've never had bulimia as an adult, and nobody has really bullied me about my weight outside of during pregnancy. Like when I was pregnant, anytime I would get pregnant and I got to that certain point of just, my tummy is just so big and I'm obviously heavy and I can't breathe, okay? Like anytime I get pregnant, you guys are always talking about, that's how you know, because I literally cannot breathe. We used to watch a lot of Family Guy, and so my ex, while I'm pregnant, would be doing do 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 do, because there's an episode where they're following fat people around a supermarket and playing the freaking trombone. Like, just a mess. Or is it the French horn, girl? Either way, a mess. And My ex thought that was hilarious while I was pregnant, and I would get annoyed, but I would laugh because part of me thought it was funny, but the other part is like, leave me alone, please. All those things, they add up over time. You don't realize it in the moment. You realize it after the fact that it's affecting your self-esteem, your mental health. Once you get past the grief and you say, okay, I'm officially single, you know, you've left, it's a lot of rebuilding to do. So prior to biting the bullet and actually leaving, I had already kind of been working on myself. And I feel like that's one of the biggest keys. And it just kind of happens naturally that way. I think most people, whether man or woman, that are about to leave a relationship or have been contemplating leaving for a while, you tend to start to focus on yourself before you even leave. Especially if you're married, you focus on yourself because you realize ain't nobody else focusing on you. So you gotta focus on yourself, okay? At that point, you know, I started better eating habits, because the truth of the matter is when you're focusing on the relationship and you see how damn depressing the relationship is making you, even if you're in denial about your depression, because I definitely was, you don't eat well. And I'm a binge eater, and I'm also an emotional eater, which I didn't realize until I was fasting. And shout out to God. And because I was fasting, I couldn't, when I felt like high stress, my brain would want chocolate. And I was like, what the frick? And I never recognized myself as an emotional eater at the time. And so it clicked to me, oh my God, I'm an emotional eater. And I didn't realize that, which emotionally eating is very problematic. Sometimes after I finish my therapy sessions, baby, I'm stuffing my face with chocolate, but that's only because it's the holiday season and there was lots of Ferrero here. And Lord knows I'm a sucker for Ferrero. So, you know, that played a big, major role in why I was doing that. But it was a really good therapy session I had, but also facing yourself in therapy is tough sometimes. And it was a lot that day. You know, I had been going through a lot that week. Just the past week, 2 weeks have been a little crazy for me. So I was stuffing my face with damn chocolate because I am an emotional eater. But self-awareness is really key to growing in any area of your life. So if you are self-aware that you are an emotional eater, you have to learn to say no, right? Because that plays into the whole self-sabotage thing. If I know I'm emotional, I'm an emotional eater, and I have those things that I like to eat in the house, what am I gonna do but binge on it? Literally, what am I gonna do but binge on the food that I know I like to eat at any point of the day, really, but like sugar, which is so bad for you. Okay, and so I've struggled with having a sweet tooth my whole life. Diabetes type 2 runs in my family because we have sugar problems in my family. Okay, we like sugar. Everybody has a sweet damn tooth. It's not given that. So really, the self-awareness is the first thing. And one thing therapy is going to do is make you self-aware, okay? Especially if you're doing things that are toxic, if you are in an abusive relationship and, you know, starting to do reactive things, therapy is going to show you, ow, frig, exactly what you're doing when you're doing it. And so a big part of my rediscovery of self was, or is actually, therapy and going to therapy. And that's why I'm so, every 5 minutes I'm suggesting people go to therapy now, because baby, we can't help you. We can't help you, girl. You gotta go and put your big girl panties on and get you into some therapy. It's the only thing that's gonna actually change your life. Girl, I promise you 1, 2, maybe 3 sessions and you're gonna look at the world differently. Scrape that Christmas coin up and go. Because had I not started therapy, I wouldn't be filming this video right now, I promise you. Had I not just got my foot in the door, tested the waters for therapy, I would not be sitting here in front of you right now and telling you the wonderful, wonderful effects that it has on your life. It's hard to transition from one way of living to a completely other way of living, especially when you didn't plan for it. Like, you think you're planning a forever and you're putting a period where a comma's supposed to go and you have no idea, obviously, but that's what it is. I didn't bring a highlighter. Girl, you're fired. So I guess the real tea is, like, in order to find yourself after a breakup, I think the key is actually starting to look for yourself before you actually are faced with the breakup. Now, if the breakup is abrupt because you didn't do the breakup, that's a whole other story, but I think it's still the same. There has to be, sometimes there's little signs there that is letting you know there's something impeding here. Like there's probably gonna be a breakup soon. The relationship doesn't feel right anymore. It might be time to go. And so with that, I feel like you have to start looking for yourself prior to actually breaking up with your person that you're breaking up with. Because once you start doing those things that make you feel like you again, everything else kind of just flows. So like prior to my breakup, I got back into school. I started going to school again. Prior to my breakup, took time off to just focus on my kids because I knew that they were going to need more of me very soon, right? Like I knew I was leaving my ex, so I knew that my kids are probably going to be having to transition into a new thing again. And every little thing, every little change that kids go through matters. So like even just me moving from our old place to our new place was a transition for them. And we had to emotionally regulate that because kids don't really understand a lot, right? They liked the new house right out the gate, but you might see shifts in behaviors, and they were so young too. This was like 2 years ago. They were so young, but there's still shift in the behavior because a change is happening, right? And then my sister came and lived with us, and my niece and my nephew were here as well. And then they abruptly left, and that was another change my kids had to go through. And so it was almost like our house became like a revolving door, because after that happened, then somebody else stayed with us for a little while, and during that time their dad got the boot. Like it was a mess, like and so they're constantly going through these changes. And so I was like, okay, I need to spend more time with them. And so before I actually ended my marriage, I, was focusing a lot on my kids and spending a lot of time with them and not so much time at work. Didn't know how I was going to pay my bills, girl, but God made a way. But like, it was really important for me to do that because I knew that their life was about to change again in a drastic way. And so I just started trying to do things with intention so that my kids could have a smooth transition from father in the home to no father in the home. And I think I did a really good job of that for them. So one thing I have to say is God definitely blessed me with some really understanding and cool children, because the other side of that too is some parents, they separate and their kids are a mess. My kids actually remind me of me when my parents separated. One thing about it was I was not fazed. I was not fazed. And I knew, even though I was obviously older than my kids, I knew that it was what was necessary. And I think my kids could sense that, right? I think they could sense that it was better this way. And so that probably confused them. Like, why aren't I feeling saddened by his absence? Because he was absent while he was here, right? So I didn't have to do too much consoling my kids unless something would happen where he's concerned. But like, as far as like leaving the relationship, I didn't have to console my kids too much. And just by the way, I'm using the kimchi chic freckle pen thing, which I'm obsessed with. I need to buy another one. Hopefully they still have them. And I just randomly place the dots on my face, little dots, different sizes, of course. And then I take my beauty blender so that the dots are not so pronounced, and I squish my beauty blender and then kind of just use it as a stamper all over my face. This is my everyday look. And then I'm gonna throw my brows on real quick. Oh, not me. Now I'm using this as a mirror. I was like, girl, that is the pomade. So yeah, like I lost myself in my relationship because I was focused on, what was wrong, trying to figure out what was wrong and couldn't figure it out. Because baby, if you're trying to figure out narcissism, you're not going to figure it out until you leave, okay? So don't even bother. But if you don't know it's narcissistic at the time, you're really just sat there like, okay, this is a rough patch. Like, what do I do to navigate this? And then you're like, this ain't no damn rough patch. Rough patches pass. This is getting worse. So then, you kind of just have to snap out of the delusion. Once you snap out the delusion, I would say the stars align. Everything pretty much starts making sense, even if only a little bit. And then you start focusing on yourself and you start doing the things that you want to do. And for me, while I was doing those things, I was being put down. And obviously that, didn't help. I wasn't going to let it distract me or pull me away from what I wanted to do. Did you see my Beyonce corset? I didn't go to school, a pattern drafting course, and pay for it out of pocket just so that somebody's snotty-nosed son could come and try to diss me. Baby, no. I had spent so much time feeding into somebody else's arts and crafts and their ego and not enough into myself. And for the first time in forever, I fed into myself and it changed the game for me. One thing I'm not afraid to do is always be the student. And that is how you stay, one, humble, but two, how you keep growing. Because I'm willing to always be the student, I'm never gonna stop growing. I didn't go into my pattern drafting course thinking, I already know how to do this. I already know how to sew. I can watch this and figure it out on YouTube. Baby, no. Take your butt over to the pattern drafting place, over to the school, enroll you in some courses, and do what makes you feel like you again. Because I had encouraged my ex to go to school. I had got him through school. Okay, supported him through school. Did a few assignments, sure did. I was really getting back to me. And doing what I liked and was proud of what I was doing, even when he was making fun of me. And, questioning my job, questioning my purpose. Oh, that was a big one. Because he said that I did that to him. And the thing about me questioning his purpose was never hurtful or meant to be hurtful when I was talking about his purpose. There's some people in this world that you actually cannot, one, question, but two, people that maybe don't grow up in church and stuff, they don't understand how big purpose is. I'm really big on purpose. So though it wasn't said to hurt, that's just not how it was taken. And, that's fine. We can't tell people how to interpret things. They're gonna, and even if you give them clarity and they decide that that's not what you meant, then that's just, it is what it is. You're not gonna beat a dead horse about it. So he would use it as an insult when things were slow on YouTube, or downplaying my job, saying that I don't have a real job, things of that nature. Obviously, those things would be very hurtful for me, but it got to a point where I was so used to it that I would just let it roll off my back and be like, I'm not gonna let this man ruin my day or my mood, because the bills were real and the bills were paid. So I wasn't really understanding why he would keep coming for my job. And I would always be to him, just because you work outside of the house and I do my work from inside of the house doesn't mean that I don't have a real job. It was real when you was rocking that Moschino shirt. It was real before, sir. So I don't know why it's not real now. It was real when I had to cover the bills because somebody decided that they wanted a Comme des Garçons sweater. It was real then. I can't pay the bills with Monopoly money. Let me just say that. So the downplaying on my job thing was always so crazy to me. But at the end of the day, I was just I'm not going to let this man get under my skin. There were certain elements of myself that I didn't necessarily lose, but I needed to be reminded. I had to Google, who the hell is Bo Vintage? Because I certainly lost her, I lost her coordinates along the way, but I had to find her again because that man sure did a number on me, but it's okay in the end. And I don't think that it's something that could ever happen to me again, because if ever I'm in a relationship and I feel for even 1 second that it's not right, I'm following my gut. I have done enough ignoring of my gut and it has not served me well. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make in relationships, men and women alike, is forgetting to focus on our individuality while in those relationships. Even though I had a lot going for myself, and I had my YouTube channel, of course, because of, my ex always downing me because I wasn't making big bags, busting out the Bentley Bentayga anymore. It was hard to come back from that, because already, especially with YouTube and the drastic changes that the creators went through from oh my god, what am I doing? Why am I living so far in the past? From 2016 YouTube to 2019 YouTube, we went through big changes and shifts, especially where AdSense was concerned. So as a creator, I was already dealing with my own issues or feelings about my line of work. And being an entrepreneur is really hard, right? It's not sunshine and rainbows all the time, and an entrepreneur knows that. Not every day is gonna be big bags. So sometimes you have a down season, and if you don't have a supportive partner during that down season, and you instead have somebody that feels like, nana boo boo, I have a career now, and you don't, you're like, it's hard, because if you're already dealing with, insecurities where your channel is concerned, which obviously my ex knew I was because I would cry a lot about it, and the struggle that I was having, for them to then take their thumb and dig it in that wound is crazy. So I lost a lot of motivation and drive, because instead of having somebody that was uplifting me and being like, you got this, keep pushing out your content, something will give, I had somebody doing the complete opposite. And it was hard to understand it, I was like, you hate me, sir. And don't tell somebody that hates you that they hate you, because they are going to sit there and lie and tell you they don't hate you. I said, sir, you hate me. You need to admit it to yourself, and then you need to do something about it, because it's giving hateful. Hater, it's giving all of that. I literally used to sit there and be like, you really think you're better than me because you work at a restaurant and they didn't promote you about 11 times? You really feel you're better than me? It's cute. It's cute. But let's humble ourselves before the Lord, okay? You're doing too much. It was crazy, guys, I swear. And so I didn't get it. I couldn't get it, but I got it after. Typically, I would put on lashes with this look, but because I have to wear my glasses to drive, I'm not gonna bother. We're just gonna put some mascara on. But I forgot to put on my lash primer. That will change the game. Anyway, as I was saying, I started looking for myself and who I knew I was, and started reminding myself of that by just doing what I used to like to do. Journaling was a big part of that. Going to school, like I said, spending time with my kids. I was just getting back to me and focusing on how I intended to live my life once he was no longer in the picture. And then that made the transition all the more smooth, because it was like, okay, well, he's not in the picture, and we're just gonna keep going how we're going. So it really did feel like nothing changed. This is game time. It's game time. Only mama's not playing any games, okay? It's been quite a journey. That's why, for the first time in forever, I'm actually gonna try to do a year with 0 expectations and 0 goals. I'm just gonna do it like an impulse year. And I think it's wild and I think it's crazy, but I'm taking a leap of faith, and I'm just gonna go and be very impulsive this year. The only thing I'm not gonna do is get pregnant. But I'm going to live my best life in 2023. The first week of January, I'm getting my passport renewed, and then it's a wrap from there, okay? It's a freaking wrap. Don't call me, don't text me unless I'm inviting you somewhere. Don't even look for me, because you're not gonna find me. Her coordinates are changing. I'm really excited, because I'm just gonna jump into my year with intention, but also with no plans or goals. And I know they say somebody that fails to plan is planning to fail, but I'm challenging that because of the grace of God. Okay? I am challenging that notion, because our steps are ordered. So if I decide that I'm just gonna wing it this year, well, let's wing it. Let's wing it. So I've been doing this new thing when I'm lining my lips, where I completely disregard my Cupid's bow, and I've been a little bit obsessed. Okay, so we take a nice brown, jolly brown. Ignore the Cupid's bow, go right over it, and then do my bottom. I think the biggest secret that I can share with you guys, write it down now too, with this whole finding yourself again thing, regaining confidence after leaving somebody or somebody leaving you. Here's the biggest secret. You ready? Let me put my gloss on first, girl. This is probably going to be the best piece of advice you'll ever receive. If you're feeling like you've lost yourself or you're losing yourself, and it's due to a relationship, whether it's platonic or not platonic, whatever, doesn't matter. Whether it's motherhood, the confidence never leaves. It is still there, but there is an illusion that makes you feel like it is not there. All you have to do to tap back into that confidence that you think has left the freaking building is get rid of the illusion that it ever left to begin with. It's still there inside of you. All you have to do is put on a cute little face and walk out your damn house. And like, stop playing with yourself and stop letting people play with you. Okay? That was my biggest downfall, letting people play on my top. They're not playing on my top anymore because they have no access to me. Okay? Friends, family, don't matter. Okay? You could be playing on my top today, but that's why I love tomorrow. Because you're getting canceled with the quickness. You're getting canceled. Ain't nobody playing on my top in 2023. Where they do that at? They're not doing it. Because I said so. Boundary setting. If you think the confidence has left, this is your sign to let you know the confidence didn't go nowhere. You just stopped focusing on the stuff that you like to do and you stopped focusing on yourself. Okay? If you like to paint model cars and that makes you happy, then you paint them friggin' model cars and you know that you're the best model car painter that there ever once was. When you stop doing stuff that you love, it really messes you up. Because I stopped painting, drawing. When I got my iPad and I started doing digital art, I started feeling like myself again. And I started designing clothes on there. And then I started to sew and I went to school and I'm doing this, that, and the third. But like, I started getting back into me. And that's all you have to do. Start focusing on you, what you like to do. And if you don't know what you like to do, girl, figure it out. If you like to bedazzle your coochie, spread your legs in front of the mirror and get the bedazzler and bedazzle your coochie. I don't know what you like to do. I just know what I like to do. And I like to do a lot of things that involve art. I like to post content. I like to draw. I like to paint. Okay, if you need to do a good acrylic pour, do an acrylic pour. If you want to paint some shoes, paint some shoes. If you want to sew a dress, sew a dress. Do what you like to do. And your confidence will come back very quickly. Okay, because I was sleeping on her. Didn't know who she was, where she went. Thought she went somewhere. She didn't go nowhere. It was giving lazy. So that's like my biggest thing. Just focus on you. I wouldn't even put this in the easier said than done category. Unless the person is locking you up in a dungeon and telling you you're not allowed to do X, Y, and Z, well, that's a completely different story. But if you are in a relationship that makes you feel like you're stuck and you realize, oh my God, I'm putting so much energy into trying to fix this relationship, baby, fix yourself. Okay, start you some therapy, read you some books, and start doing what you like to do and see if once you start doing what you like to do and you start gaining that confidence in what you like to do, how easy it is to walk away from a situation that clearly doesn't support what you like to do. You know what I mean? Anyway, this video is way longer than I intended to be. I gotta go to the grocery store. I love you all so freaking much. And healing, prosperity, abundance, peace, confidence, blessings, all 2023 from Jesus Christ himself. To you, ma'am. To you. Okay? You guys did amazing in 2022. You got through every freaking storm. And in 2023, the Jordan year of the millennium, we're going to be dunking. Okay? We're slam dunks all year round. I love you all so much. And I'll definitely see you in the next one.